Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. You've probably clicked on today because you've been doing a bit of online dating and you are not having the best time with it. Maybe you're not getting enough matches, or maybe the people that you're matching with just aren't good enough for you. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk through 3 reasons why you might not be getting as many matches or the type of matches that you want online. What I will say is that a couple of them are quite obvious, and then the third one might be something that you haven't thought of before. So definitely, if you don't have much time, skip to the end or watch the whole video, because I do think that this is quite important. Online dating does get quite a negative press, but what I will say is that more and more people use it to get into relationships. So I definitely wouldn't become someone who's like, no, I don't do apps, I'm not interested in apps. I would recommend taking a look at what you're doing and how to improve your chances, like what apps you're on and things like that can make a really big difference. If you're really struggling, you can head on over to my website and book yourself a complimentary 20-minute consultation with me, and we can have a chat about your online dating stuff. Also, you can book in and I can write your entire profile. So that is also an option if things get really difficult. So the first reason why you won't be getting matches is quite an obvious one. Your profile's terrible. So many people have terrible photographs, terribly written profiles, and then they wonder like why they're not getting matches. So if you haven't spent much time dedicated to actually creating a profile that really represents the essence of who you are, I recommend that you take some time to go through it and have a think about how it looks from the outside. Have a think about, how does this look to the person that I'm interested in? Does this sell me very well or not? I know you're not a product, but unfortunately with online dating, people kind of become a bit like a product, and I am going to talk about that very soon actually. So the first thing I want to talk about is photography. Your photograph, sadly, is the most important thing on your profile. If your photograph is rubbish, you will not get any matches. Certainly on apps like Tinder, when people are swiping very fast, people are just going to swipe past you if your photograph is bad. So what is a bad photograph? I'm not talking about making yourself into someone that you're not. Have a photograph that's in good lighting. We can make sure that our photograph isn't grainy. We can have a look at the setting that we're in. Is it a nice background? Is it attractive? Is it appealing? Does that speak of someone who's doing well in life? Because we're all looking at people and thinking, what is our life going to be like together? And if you're in the Wetherspoons pub with your mates who've all got their shirts off and they all look like they're absolutely wasted, it's probably not going to sell you in the best light. So have a think about the background, have a think about the lighting. I think lighting is probably the most important thing. I'm obsessed with lighting, and in fact I really recommend Adobe Lightroom. Adobe Lightroom is absolutely brilliant for simply brightening up an image. I don't recommend that people heavily edit their photographs, but if there's a picture of you and you look okay in it, but it's a little bit dark, you can use Adobe Lightroom just to brighten the shot up a little bit, and it makes such a difference. Have a think about what you're wearing. Learn what colours work for you. Go to a stylist if you have to and get them to do your colours so you know what works on your body. If you really hate photographs, the best way to get good at photographs is to have your photograph taken. Yeah, I know, it's awful. I personally didn't used to like having my photograph taken, and I've seen so many people struggle with this one. I think it's particularly difficult for men because it's much more socially acceptable for women to get together and have a bit of a photo shoot with their friends. Men don't do that as much, so I know that it's really difficult for men. I can recommend some really great photographers for dating profile shots, because one of the downsides to using a professional photographer is that you don't want to look too staged. So a good dating photographer will make it look like, you know, is this a photo shoot? Is this not a photo shoot? Is this just a really great shot? I recommend using portrait mode if you have an iPhone and having that lovely blurred background in your photo. It's better having a photograph of heads and shoulders, one that's full length, and then another shot that's maybe an activity. Definitely make sure that you've got at least 3 photographs on your profile. Sadly, people are extremely looks orientated. Interestingly, women underreport how important it is what someone looks like, and men over-report how important someone looks like is. So basically, we're not as different as you might think. We definitely give men quite a hard time for being looks orientated, but women also quite looks orientated. So having a great photograph is the first point. The second point would be to make sure that your profile content is great. Don't have anything negative on there. Don't resort to using cliches. Don't say negative things like, I don't want this. Say what you do want, not what you don't want. And definitely have a think about what your unique selling point is and what makes you different from the next person. Instead of having a list of qualities that you possess, such as I'm kind, I'm funny, I'm smart, I love travel, show that in your profile. So don't say you're funny, be funny in the profile. And also, this is a bit complicated and something that I work on with clients, have a value on there. I can't go into that right now, but it is something that I do work with clients. Finally, ask a friend that you trust what they think of your profile and how that represents you. Is this a true representation of yourself, or is this underselling yourself, or are you simply coming across as someone that you just really are not? Because there's no point in being online as someone that you aren't, because when that person meets you, they're only going to be disappointed. If you think, God, I'm so boring, I have nothing interesting to say, sit down and have a think about how you can jazz your profile up. You do not need to be like extremely hilarious. You do not need to have tons and tons and tons of hobbies. You just have to have like one thing that sets you apart from the rest of the people out there. The second reason why you might not be having much luck with online dating is that you're wasting your time on time wasters. We've all done it. We have whipped out Tinder when we're lonely, bored, feeling sad, missing our ex, or just feel like we need a nice little ego boost. The apps are populated with people who aren't interested in actually getting into a relationship, and we don't want to inadvertently pick up a pen pal. So how do we avoid picking up a pen pal? Well, we don't get into long-winded text conversations that go on for weeks and weeks and weeks. Ask someone out. A lot of the time I have women come to me and they're like, oh, he's been talking to me for a while, I don't know what he wants, and he's like, I don't know what she wants. The best way to get onto a date is to simply have a conversation with someone and say, hey, I've really enjoyed this conversation, do you fancy going for a drink sometime? And then that person will say yes, or that person will say no. If that person says no and you've been talking for many, many weeks, could be that they're not really on the app for the right reasons. The apps are full of I make them sound so bad. Apps are fabulous, but they are full of people who have avoidant attachment styles. Now you're probably sat there thinking, well, what on earth is she talking about? What is an avoidant attachment style? All you need to know is that an avoidant person is someone who does not really want to get close to other people or cannot get close to other people. They don't form really strong emotional bonds with other people. They keep people at arm's length, and they're generally quite distant. It's perhaps a little bit disheartening to learn that the dating pool has more avoidant types than any other type at any one time, because, you know, they're avoiding relationships. They might not be avoiding sex, but they are avoiding that close emotional bond. So if you're looking for something long term, it's important to be able to spot someone who is acting in an avoidant way. Avoidant people typically have unrealistic expectations about relationships. They're more likely to blow hot and cold. They're more likely to not text back in this consistent way that you would hope for. They're not showing up. They're not giving you what you want. If you're in a conversation with someone like that, or you start a relationship with someone like that, my advice is to distance yourself away from people who can't give you the thing that you need. Don't try and change someone, because people can only change themselves. And much of the time, if someone is avoidant, they might not have the desire to actually alter what they're doing. And they won't really be able to see your point of view, because to them, it's completely normal to not get close to people. Avoidant people also struggle to communicate their feelings and are much more likely to ghost you. So if you have been ghosted by someone, I wouldn't worry about it too much, because it says everything about them and very little about you. Unless, of course, you have done something absolutely shocking to make someone ghost you. But even then, I just don't see the point in ever ghosting anyone, like ever. The third reason why you might not be having much success with your online dating is that you are a maximizer. A maximizer is somebody who wants the very best of everything. So they want the best car, they want the best house, they have to go on the best holidays. They're usually comparing themselves to other people and seeing what other people have got, and then if they fall short, they feel bad, they need to get better, they need to always improve, they need the best career as well. This can be a little bit exhausting. A maximizer is the sort of person who, when they want to buy a new dress, will go onto ASOS and look at every single dress and then still not find anything, move over to River Island, move over to Topshop, move over to Zara, move over to Reiss, and then go back to ASOS, buy a dress and still not be happy. Being a maximizer is really, really stressful, and I'm sure that most maximizers don't want to be maximizers. It's about getting a balance. You don't want to settle, but being a maximizer when it comes to dating and relationships doesn't really work. I mean, imagine if you were going to go and buy a car, you get your specifications, you know exactly what's going on, you've got tons of money. All you have to do, if you've got tons of money, is go to the car salesman, buy the car, that's that. When it comes to human beings, you might be there looking for this Ferrari, and then the Ferrari turns around and says, I don't fancy you in return though. So this is why it gets difficult, because human beings, you know, have to match together. If you're maximizing and you're going for this like incredibly successful, incredibly beautiful human being, this incredibly beautiful human being had better not be maximizing also, unless of course you are on that level. It all gets really, really complicated. And another issue with being a maximizer when it comes to your dating life is that when you look at someone's online dating profile, you don't get to see all of the specifications. When you're buying a car, everything is laid out for you. You know exactly what you're going to get. With human beings, you will miss out on great people because you can't list the qualities that you will be attracted to should you actually go on to meet them. People have qualities that you can't even put labels on. Some people just meet people and they're like, I don't know what it is about that person, but they just get me and I get them. You can't ascertain that sort of thing from a profile. Many people will say, oh, I can tell from a photograph what someone's like, I can tell lots of things. You can tell a certain amount, but there's so much that you cannot tell. So I would suggest that if you are falling into this bracket of being a bit of a maximizer, that actually you just take a moment and think about the fact that you're not perfect, they're not perfect either. Why not open up your mind, take a moment and look at yourself and the qualities that you have, and look for someone who is similar to you in the qualities that they have, and get into more conversations with people. You can quickly filter someone out if they really don't match with you when you have a conversation with them, but at least get into conversation with people. I used to actually work in a casino, and I would see men on their phones and they'd be on their Tinder and they'd be swiping, and I would be so amazed at the people that they missed out on. Had the same woman walked through the door, said hi to him and had a conversation with him, he probably would not be swiping left, but be swiping right. Swipe slower. If everybody was maximizing, only a very small percentage of people would actually get to go on dates. And I do think that when we think that there are more options out there, we're not going to make a choice. If we're a maximizer, we're going to be going on dates with someone and thinking about who might be next. Can I do better than this? Can I improve on my lot? Rather than enjoying and getting to know the person in front of you and working on that relationship, on that connection. You can maximize for a car, you can maximize for a house. You can't maximize when it comes to people, because people cannot be put into these boxes of, oh, she's really hot, oh, she's really ugly. It's like, you don't know what's going on inside that person that makes them special. Don't fall into the habit of thinking that because someone's good looking that they're therefore kind, that they're therefore intelligent, that they're therefore going to be funnier than other people. They're probably not. There will always be flaws with people. So if you're a maximizer, getting into relationships is going to be a bit of a tricky one. So those are 3 reasons why online dating might not be working for you. There are, of course, many more reasons, but I'm not going to go into those just yet. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and if you're interested in some one-on-one dating coaching, please don't forget to head on over to my website. Bye-bye.